Welcome back to the OCOM Podcast, Modern Medical Education, where we talk about aspects of modern medical education each episode. And today we actually have an incredible episode. It's our clinical education team here at OCOM. And so I think you're going to like this show and all the stuff that we're doing in clinical education here at OCOM. So I'll start off with my far left, our Associate Dean of Clinical Education, Gary R. Hill, D.O., F.A.C.O.I., my colleague, friend of 20 years. We worked together side by side for a number of years, back in the days at Nova Southeastern, and, we worked, been friends and colleagues for a long time. So welcome to the show, Dr. Hill.
Thank you, Dean Hasty. It's a pleasure being here, and thank you for inviting me. I'm looking forward to this morning. I'm very excited about this opportunity, so thank you so much and look forward to it.
Oh, I'm so excited. And you guys are doing such a great job. I mean, really hitting out of the ballpark, like so many of our teams here at OCOM, but I'm so excited about the experience that they'll have when they go to clinical education. It's under your, leadership, Dr. Hill, and really appreciate the whole teams are leaders, but you're the lead leader of the team. So
we are a team, so thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And then next to Dr. Hill is our Director of Clinical Education, Gabriella Sharp. And she actually just recently changed her name, and it took me like about a year to pronounce her last name, which was Via Royal, but her new name is Sharp, and she is sort of the right-hand person for all things clinical education, and probably also the best graphic design artist I've ever met before. So welcome to the show, Gabriella. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm very honored and glad to be here today. It is a blast to work for OCOM for sure, and it's been a blast to be under Dr. Hill's leadership for sure. We have worked very hard to build our program, and I'm excited to share with everyone what we have prepared.
Awesome. Well, welcome. And also, and this is a returning guest, she's like another one of our Wonder Women here at OCOM. It's Dr. Osha Koya, who's not only our chair of primary care, but she's our regional site director for the region. We'll talk a little bit more about regional site directors, but Dr. Osha Koya, welcome back.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's such an honor to be able to work with you and under your leadership, and also to be able to also join the clinical education team under Dr. Hill's leadership. It's been such an awesome blessing to work with this team, and I've learned a lot, and I've just been so excited to share all of the wonderful things that we're doing here in the clinical education realm with the regional site directors.
Yeah, we're so blessed to have you here at the team, Dr. Osha. I know we're not going to talk about it today, but we talked to the previous podcast about leadership, and this year you're actually taking it to the next level. You're not only doing the leadership for the students, it's called the LEAD program, and then there's a LEAD Plus that's like extra leadership for those folks that are going to be like the next hospital CEOs and CMOs and stuff like that. But you're also doing a CLIMB program, educating all the faculty and the staff on leadership skills and everything. And I'm super excited. I'm going to attend it myself, go through the program, and really excited. One definition of leadership is somebody that creates future leaders, right? And you're one of those people. So anyway.
Oh, thank you for those kind words. I think you have done a lot of that, right, is build other leaders. And so I think you should remember that and take credit for that as well. So I appreciate your mentorship, and I've learned a lot from being with you. So
you're too kind, but I'm gonna do like the Dr. Hill. It's a team, So anyway, so Dr. Hill, maybe we'll start off with you. Just kind of tell us a little bit about your the clinical education here at OCOM. Your vision. You may want to talk about concierge approach. Something like that. Yeah.
Well. Good morning to everyone. Thank you, Dean Hasty. We are very excited about this opportunity at the Orlando College of Osteopathic Medicine, being the 11th and the most new medical school in the state of Florida. As you know, Florida is short in terms of the number of physicians needed. Graduate medical education programs. We're short on graduate medical education programs. So the Dr. Patel and his corporation and your vision, we're moving right into Central Florida to try and bridge some of those gaps that are created because of the lack of physician available to the people in the wonderful state of Florida. So when we talk about clinical education, and they have medical students, they have 11 different medical schools to choose from to do their to go to school and then become residents in the state. And we know, and you're very very much aware that where residents train, they tend to stay in that state. And the last data that's out there for Florida is 60% of those who train in Florida actually stay in Florida. And so, and then that number is even higher when they go to school in Florida and then have to do their residency in Florida. That number is even rising. So we're very much aware of that. And the way that we want to enhance the students' options is one, to come to a school, get a fantastic education, then have an opportunity to do a residency within the state of Florida so that we can keep these wonderful students in the area. So our job is to help assist the students making that possible. And our approach to doing that is the concierge approach, and we'll talk more about that, but it's really making the academic rigors of being a physician, but without the laborious part of finding your way and assisting in your way.
Excellent. Yeah, well, I love it. And Gabriella, tell me a little bit more about this, concierge approach. I know you're going to oversee the coordinators and what that experience, kind of is going to look like for the students.
Yeah, so I think one of the most powerful elements that we have in our program are our friends. We have very great partners out there with the hospitals around the Central Florida area. We want to support our students 100%. And that's why we have created a team that works as the backbone for our program. So we have a group of regional site directors. We have Dr. Shikoya here representing the regional site directors that will support our preceptors and will support our hospitals and their connection with our school. And then we have the coordinators who will be the support for students. So they will guide the students along the entire process during their clinical years and all the way to the graduation day, just to make sure everything is aligned, all the documents are completed and all the requirements, and also guiding them through the right path according to what they want to pursue as their specialty and all the clinical training they need to complete in the clinical years.
Excellent. Yeah, and I like to tell folks that they're not going to be on their own for clinical rotations. They're going to have these coordinators, and the coordinator is going to follow them for both third year as well as fourth year, and they're going to be available for the medical student. They can call, text, email, whatever, and also help to support them for the fourth year electives. The golden months or the audition rotations where folks a lot of times will go to electives where they want to go to residency at, and the fact that you're going to do that and really have the excellent experience, and of course have coordinators that don't have this gazillion students, that they can actually focus on the students they have and make sure that everything's done the right way, and they get excellent service to students. It's it can be kind of scary being out there in clinical rotations, and to have somebody that has your back like that is important. And of course, Dr. Hill and I've always talked about it. OCOM has your back,
Yes,
right? And
that's right.
we have the back of the students. So anyway, I love that. And so Dr. Oshikoya, and we've talked about this a million times. I think the quality of our lives are dependent upon the quality of the relationships. And the quality, I think, of an organization is dependent upon the quality of relationships. And, the team collectively, just hit it out of the ballpark with, we have incredible relationships. So I don't know, could you kind of talk about some of our sites and relationships and things like that? Yeah.
Absolutely. We are so blessed, I think, in all the friendships that we've made across the Central Florida region. And I think it's been such an honor to be a part of building those relationships for OCOM with all of the different hospital systems that are here. We really have relationships with almost every big hospital system that's in the area, and they have been so kind to us. We are so grateful. As a regional site director, my biggest honor is to be able to support and provide concierge service to not only our students, but to our preceptors and also the hospital administration. We really want to make sure that we're coming into their home the way that they would want us to come, and we want to make sure that we're behaving in ways that is aligned with how they want us to be. We want them to have a good experience. I want the preceptors to feel open and comfortable to always reach out and make sure that I can be of service to them as they train our students. And so we have been extremely blessed, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity to get to meet all the different people I've gotten to meet in this position, and continue to build those relationships to really better our students' access to medical training. But on the other hand, right, I think that a lot of our friendships and our partners have realized that that is going to be an amazing pool to pull talent from. We do such a great job of making sure that our students are competent and that our students are caring, and the types of physicians that I think that they'll want to recruit later. And as Dr. Hill mentioned, many students will stay if they had a good experience. So.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great. I love it. Yeah. You know, by the way, my Aunt Judy watches this podcast, and, you know, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want Aunt Judy to yell at me, but one of the things that I'm sure she would say if I don't mention it is that, you know, it's sort of the design of our curriculum a little bit, which is, you know, the first 2 years they spend here at OCOM and preclinical education, you know, a lot of classroom environment, simulation. You know, we want to make sure they're ready to start seeing patients before we get them out there to the 3rd and 4th year. So, you know, I guess, you know, in the business, we call this a 2+2 model, where it's 2 years of preclinical, 2 years of clinical. You know, about 10, 15 years ago, there was and I'd say now that model is kind of antiquated, where they would do a year and a half of classroom and then 2.5 years of clinical. But I mean, there's just so much to know, and they've, you know, accreditation, you know, all these things that, you know, have kind of, you know, required a lot of stuff in the first 2 years. Of course, the wellness and everything, having balance it for the first 2 years has made a difference. And but then they go off for the 3rd and 4th year, where they actually, you know, each 4 week, and at least in our model, it's 4-week period of time. They have 8 core rotations the 3rd year, 1 elective. They have some other courses they have to do during the 3rd year, and they get a vacation month. I don't think I had a vacation month when I was in medical school. And then the 4th year is mostly electives. You know, six months of elective, and then 1 month of emergency medicine, and then some other courses, and then they graduate. So anyway, I did that for Aunt Judy, so I don't get in trouble. Anything else you guys want to talk about in terms of the curricular structure?
No, but I think it cannot be overstated. The Dean Hasty, you often quote, and you quoted here this morning, that our relationships today are based on what we did before. And to quote Dr. Charles Wesley, who's a famous historian, to just further back up your comment about that, people don't realize that it's not, our relationships today is not because of what we know. It's who we are. And that integrity that exudes from OCOM, through its leadership, through its faculty, to its students, allows us to have those relationships. So we have 47 active affiliate partners out there who have agreed to take our students and train those students. So we're extremely happy about that. And it's no accident. They know what they're looking at, and we know what they're looking at. And again, the number of potential residency programs in the state. In 2024, the legislation in the state of Florida opened up the slots for doctors with 840 new residency spots available. So we hope to make our students available to those so they will stay in Florida, particularly the central region of Florida, but throughout the state of Florida, to help some of those disparate numbers, where Florida ranks about 22 of all the states in terms of resident per physician capita. I think it's 38 residents per 100,000 patients. So we want to move up. We're in the top half, but we want to move the state up with that. So we're very happy and excited about that.
Absolutely. I love that. And we actively try to get folks from Florida to come to OCOM. I know the inaugural class we had 61% of the class that were Floridians. A lot of folks from local. I mean, heck, they didn't even have to move. They, some of them were living at their childhood home or whatever, and coming to OCOM. And then I know the second cohort, the class of 2029, we have about the same, 59%, I think, is the current numbers, or what the finalized numbers came in at, and which is important because they already love Florida and Central Florida, but everybody that comes to OCOM, we want them to really fall in love with the area and the region, and hopefully they'll continue to practice here. And I'm glad you mentioned residency programs. Most people don't know that Florida's tripled residency programs in the last 20 years. Dr. Hill, founding program director of the Broward General, now called Broward Health Internal Medicine Residency Program, and started some fellowships and a lot of other programs down there. I also started some GME and graduate medical education residency programs in South Florida and fellowships. And it's great to see. We were kind of sort of early pioneers in the residency development in Florida. And now it's like, man, it's really taken off over the last 20 years. And anyway, it's been very, very impressive. And of course, our GME Institute that we have, which is a separate, it's called the Dr. Kiran C. Patel Institute for Graduate Medical Education. I mean, they have a goal or a vision to create 1,000 new residency positions, and they're making some good progress. And of course, now we have the first or the only Department of Health, Florida Department of Health residency program affiliation. So it's the only residency program in the state of Florida that's actually at a state facility, which is a preventive medicine residency in West Palm Beach. And we love them. And they're actually on our payroll, the residents, and so we're very blessed to have that opportunity. But yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the residency aspect of it. Yeah.
And I think that's just so important. Osteopathic physicians across the country make up about 30% of the physician workforce. So the students do have choices. And to Dr. Oshikoya's point about the concierge service, when they have a choice, what are they looking for? Certainly a good education, but they also wanted to be treated like human beings. Yeah. They want to know that they're respected. They may not get everything that they want, but they do want to know that their voice is considered and that their choices are considered. And that's part of the concierge service that we hope to bring to students. So when they do have a choice, why would they choose OCOM? And it is the treatment and the respect and the dignity that they will get along with the education that they have, not only within this building, but when they move out into our training sites. So when we're looking for preceptors, and we have close to, 1,300 preceptors, but we're screening those. We want to make sure that they want to teach, that they want the students to be there with them, that they're welcoming environments. It's medicine in and of itself is sufficiently difficult to not have to add an emotional burden as to whether or not I'm welcome here, whether or not I belong. So part of our concierge service is to not only let them know that they belong there, but they're welcome there. So we hope to do that.
I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a big part of what the regional site directors do is really build relationships with preceptors to really get an idea of who they are and what they're interested in and whether or not they're going to want to have students there and truly be able to provide our students that concierge service. Now, of course, with requesting that they provide our students concierge service, we also have an expectation of our students. And I think you mentioned our curriculum. I'll just say a little bit about the preclinical curriculum and how I really expect our students to outshine really just about anybody in the clinical setting. We have been very, very intentional about the way we have chosen our curriculum, which is a CBL model. So our students are from day one learning how to present and doing their preclinical work through cases. And so they're learning using the same language that they will use in third year. So often I hear from preceptors, the anticipation that they will slow down their work. I would argue that our students will actually be those types of students that attendings will want on their service, they will request on their service, because we spend the first 2 years while teaching them all the things that they need to learn, how to present well, how to not go into a patient room and come back with a novel, but actually what are the details that are necessary and how do they do that? What is the order in which they do that? They do that from the beginning. And then we do a lot of spiral learning in that environment, right? So not only are they doing that in their classroom with their professors where they're, talking about, patient history and physical and assessment and plans, they're also going to clinical skills and then demonstrating those skills again and again. And then they're going into simulation, and all their simulations start the same way. And so really, by the end of the first month of a first-year medical school student at OCOM, they are proficient presenters. And so I think that's really going to be something that's going to be sought after, and really is going to change the way preceptors look at having students in the central area, and also maybe make them a lot more marketable for wanting to recruit them. And going to Dr. Hill's point, it's going to allow them to have a lot of choice. And so hopefully the better the preceptor treats them, the more they're excited about staying at their hospitals.
Yeah, I'll never forget. I had we had this research fair here back in April, and we had 40 poster presentations from our inaugural class. They had 65 publications the first year. Pretty incredible. But I'll never forget this program director came up, and and he wasn't he was sort of new to learning about OCOM and everything that day, but he'd walked around a little bit, and he came up and he told me, he said, I can't believe that these are first-year students. He says, I thought they were, at least third-year students, the way they were presenting these posters and all the stuff clinically. And, of course, nothing gives me more pride than that, right? And I thought it was like super cool. But, there's an old saying in medicine, I think we've talked about this before, that, patients don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yes.
And again, I think what you guys are doing is just perfect, right? You're really treating medical students awesomely, because they're going to be excellent docs, and they're going to treat patients, and how we take care of medical students, that incredible experience, treating them as future colleagues, making sure that that they're really set up for peak academic performance. It's going to equate to better patient care and have an impact for so long. So I love it. And I love what you guys are doing.
Yeah. I think there is a wonderful training opportunity across all 47 affiliated sites that will offer the students the opportunity to be exposed and to learn from many different populations and many different clinical settings. And that is, it's incredible. It is an opportunity that we have here and we can offer to our students. And also to impact our community, because that's our goal. We want to cause a positive impact for Central Florida, and that's why we are working very close with our partners, not only to offer a great opportunity for our students, but also to offer the community a good impact, a positive experience, and good doctors that will be there in the future, for sure.
I love it. And I should commend you. Actually, it reminds me of my first call this morning. I was on a Zoom with a local physician. She was actually going from one ambulatory surgical center to the other, and she had me on. She had pulled over in her car to have the Zoom with me, and she said that she had said that our reputation was that we're really doing great with the relationships, the partnerships in the community, treating folks well, and I'll tell you, like you said, Dr. Osekoye, we've been very blessed. This is an amazing community. The people here, we have excellent hospital systems. Any of these hospital systems, I would love. My loved ones, my family members, to go to, and really modeling the way. And the great thing is they're so innovative and so future thinking. So we truly are training, not only the physicians of the future here at OCOM, but when they get out, they're going to be learning, the best medicine in the United States, arguably the world, right here in the Central Florida community. And I think, hopefully, all these hospitals and healthcare systems will fall in love with our students like we have, and they'll see we're doing something unique here.
For sure. Yeah. And to your point, Dean Hasey and Gabriella alluded to it, between 11 medical schools in the state of Florida, there's about $23 billion in terms of economic impact on the state of Florida.
Per year,
per year. So when we're looking at the potential impact of OCOM, I think about 40% of the physicians in the state of Florida are over 60 years of age. Close to 9% of those anticipate they'll be retiring in the next 3 to 5 years and so forth. So we're preparing our students to to not only replace those physicians, but make the availability and access for the citizens of the state of Florida to improve their access. So we hope to be and plan to be a major player going forward for sure.
I love that, and I am 100% convinced. With every cell in my body, these are the type of physicians that we want, right? These are the ones. The inaugural class of students. This was my favorite class ever. I've been in medical education over 20 years. I love this class. I mean, I would want any of them to take care of me or my loved ones and stuff like that. And I think that the hospitals, the healthcare systems, the physician community, when they meet these folks, they see that passion, they see their desire to, continuously learn and improve and really, serve others, right? I mean, that's the reason why they're here. These are going to be the physicians where everybody wants. These are the ones that they're going to want to hire. They're the ones that are going to lead. And we talk so much about leadership here with our students. I know that our graduates from OCOM, they'll be the next CEOs, the CMOs, the CMIOs, chief AI officers, all those cool things, not only for the Central Florida, healthcare community, but really, I think, all over. Yeah.
So. Absolutely. I think you talk a lot about modeling behavior, right? And you, have always said that your customers to you is your faculty, right? And that's because your faculty will then give that customer service to the students. And I love that. I think that that's what we are trying to do in the same space, right? We try to model the kind of concierge service that we want for our students by doing it for the preceptors first and foremost. That's my customers, right? And the administration of the hospital that allows us to go in there. But that in turn, I believe, will be how they will receive our students and the kind of concierge service they'll give our students. And most importantly, I think for all of us, right, is that modeling of behavior to our students will lead to our students modeling that behavior for patients. And in the end, we will have physicians that are really demonstrating that kind of level of care that we hope that all of our graduates demonstrate for future patients in the state of Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, I love that you're giving some love to our preceptors and clinical faculty. They've been incredible. So, and of course, Dr. Hill knows this extremely well. When we first started out at OCOM, we sent out an invitation before. We didn't do any press release or anything first. First thing we did, we reached out to the physician community. The physician community, here, DOs, MDs, everybody, and personally invited them to be part of OCOM, to get a faculty appointment here at OCOM. And that's, I think, has what propelled us. Now we're up to almost roughly 1,300 clinical faculty that are credentialed, and they're there all the time. They're always, heck, I know this past year there were so many folks that are coming in, helping out, the student clubs and everything. I know the student affairs actually tried to, kind of, slow them down a little bit because there was just so much going on. And, their desire to help the students, be part of OCOM, not only in terms of research, clinical areas, mentoring, really, giving life advice to, our medical students. This community is incredible. And I'm originally from South Florida. I call myself a Southerner because I'm from South Florida. But although people, not in South Florida, wouldn't necessarily agree with that being a Southerner. But this community is very special. I love the Central Florida, physician. I love the community and especially the Central Florida physician community. They are incredible, and I'll tell you, I think we have the best preceptors ever. They're here.
If I can quote a friend of mine, he said it's a sad day when a frog can't croak in his own pond. And what you hear, Dr. Oshikoya, when you mentioned the concierge service and you, Dean, and I think the term that she used earlier was intentional. And where OCOM has come from, those initial correspondence to the physician community that you, in fact, personally sent out, you and your assistant personally sent out way back in 2021 or maybe even 2020. I don't know. I wasn't here then. And their response to that, there's a very clear intentionality when you come into the OCOM ecosphere, and that is service, it is professionalism, and it is integrity. And that's all consummated with the concept of a concierge service, that if the students are treated well, they get the education that they're paying handsomely for, that the students, that the patients receive the type of care that they would hope and want to achieve, that we have done our job. So we're real excited about this program, this particular medical school, and this particular opportunity.
Well said as always. And by the way, I should probably tell the audience too that, Dr. Hill has become like the unofficial mentor of every faculty here at OCOM. They come to him for his incredible experience and sage advice, and they get it. They get it too.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. That's very kind.
So anyway, looks like almost time to wrap up, but I want to go around the table to see if there's any final thoughts, any final things that anybody wants to say, and I'll start here with Dr. Osequoia.
Oh, okay, awesome. Well, I just want to say thank you for giving us the opportunity to do this. I think that it is so important to support our future physicians, especially given what will be needed in the Florida region. So I really am looking forward to meeting more physicians in the Central Florida region, and look forward to having all of you join our ecosystem, as Dr. Hill said. And I'm so excited for all of the opportunities that's going to come with all the friendships that we're building with all the different hospitals. And just want to say, thank you to all the hospital friends of ours who've been so gracious and so welcoming to me and our team and all the other regional site directors. We look forward to serving you in the way that will make you feel like you're receiving the concierge service that we promise. So thank you.
Thank you.
I think she said everything. We are very, very grateful for this opportunity to talk to you about our clinical program, and also thank you with all our partners, our physicians, our hospital affiliated sites, and we are excited for what is coming. Next year will be the beginning of the clinical years for our first class, and we can wait.
Excellent. Great. Thank you. And Dr. Hill?
Again, thank you, Dean Hasty. And for those who are looking at this podcast, and we welcome you to reach out to Gabriella, Dr. Osequoia, and myself through the OCOM telephone line or email, and get know more about it. And if you know what you want, please do reach out. You may find that it is here. And if you don't know what you want, you really should reach out. Then we can let you know what you really would like to have, and that is to be treated with respect and dignity, get the type of education that you're paying for, and be able to take care of patients in the future. So again, Dean, thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. I really appreciate you and your leadership and the administration here at OCOM, all the way to the board of directors. This is not an accident. This is not a mistake. This is very intentional, and it becomes obvious once someone comes into the building. So thank you again, Dean Hasty.
Well, thank you for the kind words, and thank you all for being on the show today. It's love you guys, love working with you. And with that, I'll go ahead and wrap up another episode of the OCOM Podcast, Modern Medical Education. Thanks for joining us again today.